heart and soul of a nation, beckons the call. The voice of our forefathers heard in the distance.
A house divided against itself cannot stand.
To reclaim our honor, our soul. The challenges of a generation call out. Future generations hang in the balance. We choose liberty. This is the voice of a nation.
Of a nation.
Of a nation. Of a nation. And now, Malcolm.
Many of the stories that we talk about on a daily basis, a lot of those roads, if you've been paying attention, lead to China. It is remarkable how many stories we discuss and those roads lead to China. Even the climate change industry, which has become a huge industry now, those roads also lead to China. And people don't even realize how much they lead to China. For instance, many of the rare earths that are needed for wind and solar, where does all that come from? Well, China. And yet they get a pass when it comes to the Paris Agreement and all of these crazy agreements that happen. None of them make any sense. But the bigger point is all of these roads lead to the CCP. And their quest for really world domination, that's the subject of today's program, my fellow Americans, is the CCP and world control. Today's going to be a very special program. I'm going to bring on actually a co-host today with me. It's exactly it. And we're going to really have some terrific conversations today about China. You're going to learn quite a bit here. Please, let's welcome on here. Dr. Li Mengyun is here, and she will absolutely be here for the duration of the program and co-host the program with me. You know, Dr. Yun is an independent virologist. She was the one who left Hong Kong and was really the whistleblower calling out the CCP, really telling the truth about the origins of COVID-19, as the politicians here were still arguing whether it came from the bat in the soup in the market, or whether it was the lab in Wuhan. We know where it came from now. She has been on the front lines here and warning the world and surely America about what has taken place. You've heard her on the program, and she's well-spoken, of course, around the country on these matters. So, Dr. Li Mengyun, welcome here to the Voice of a Nation. And today we'll be a little different here. You'll be calling the shots a little bit. How's that?
Oh, thank you, Malcolm. I feel so happy about that. And yeah.
Now you can ask me questions, right? And say, well, Malcolm, what do you think about such a, right? Yeah, that's exactly how that goes. We will interview each other over the next couple hours. How's that? All right. All right.
Nice.
Exactly. So let's start now with, there's 100-year point here. I want to talk with 1949 to 2049. It was in the revolution when Mao had made that claim. Did he not?
Oh, yeah. So it is a whole change for the Chinese and also for the world, because from 1949, when Chinese Communist Party grabbed the regime from other parties and after World War II, and then established that so-called New China, we know the People's Republic China. So after that, they basically conducted numerous of the inhuman, evil actions in China. And from that time to now, it's already over 70 years. And they have already adopted it for generations of the Chinese people. And their evil trial actually already got a kind of ideal result for them. Now they become very ambitious. They want to promote this kind of results, experience to all over the world and make it one world and, of course, one communism.
Yeah. You know, when people say, and you hear this comment about 2049, or they want to rule the world control, should people really believe that? I mean, I just stop a moment and say, I mean, it's one thing to make this statement, and then it's another thing to back it up. Should we all believe that is actually their intent?
Oh, that's not the matter whether you believe or not. That is the motive and also ambition from Chinese Communism Party. And frankly, they have already conducted from the beginning, even with Chinese, when I was young, I spent 30 years life in mainland China, then moved to Hong Kong. So when I was young in China, we have such brainwash that propaganda from childhood that talking about later, in the future, communism will be the will be the tool to free all the world. So this sounds something you will feel it's just a slogan. But later, during so many years, when you see what they are doing, you actually will understand that it's not only a slogan, it's about their long-term strategies. Yeah. They have used their best weapon, propaganda. Including misinformation, lying, denial, all these things, and then to enhance their power. And also they use this way to invisibly, softly brainwash people all over the world. And people would think that, our democratic regime has some kind of problems. Yeah, we live here, we question our government, we criticize that, we feel unhappy, unsatisfied. And then when they turn to see the propaganda from China, every picture shows fantastic things. You saw they're efficient, they become rich, they love their people, and then that is a nice China dream. Yeah, China dream. This is how the president feels like, right? Yes. So this is all the things to help China achieve the goal. And now when you see that, it's not only a dream or slogan, it becomes more and more realistic now.
Mm-hmm. I really like what you say there and the wake-up call. And just listen, when you say, well, like, okay, you can think whatever you want to think, but it is really happening. And that kind of tells you. So in other words, if somebody's in denial, that's kind of their problem. But China is doing exactly what they're doing. Now, here's what I'm wondering now. Let's go down this road. This is interesting to me, Dr. Yan, and here's why. All right, I'll remember back when Trump had President Xi Jinping, and he was at Mar-a-Lago in Florida there, which was beginning to be called the Southern White House, where Trump would meet different people, officials in the state of Florida. And then Mar-a-Lago, there was this moment where Xi was there with Trump. Trump tried to build a friendship with him, knowing, like Sun Tzu, the art of war, you always keep your enemies close by. You want to know what they're doing. You want to know what's happening. I mean, Trump knew who they were because he spoke about China. Oh my God, years and years before then, he warned America about the threat that was China. How did you feel about when that meeting happened with Xi? Remember the smiles and, the Mar-a-Lago, the cameras, and oh, yes, there's Xi Jinping. And, oh, yeah, Donald Trump, everybody's happy. Oh, yeah. And then remember North Korea did something and there was this whole thing about, Trump had spoken out, and actually there was this military threat while they were there in Mar-a-Lago. How did you feel about it, Dr. Yan? How did you feel like the relationship was going? Did you know this was all just a trick? Did you think there might be some hope and promise for a better relationship? And how did the Chinese people feel about that meeting as well?
What I can tell you is generally, what Chairman Xi or the other chairmen in Chinese Communist Party, when they show to Americans, no matter to American people or American president, that's just the things as their disguise. So they want you to feel they are very polite, they are very modest, they are very friendly to you, and they want to make the deal, make the business with you like the other countries. So you will have a nice beneficial relationship with China, and then you will work together to develop. But the thing is, inside Chinese Communist Party, they always treat the Western civilization, the democracy, the freedom, these things as their enemy ideology. So no matter how friendly they show in front of you, in front of the camera, you should always understand that they are lying to you. It's basically, I think, like the little red hood. So the girl and switch to the wolf grandma, right? The wolf pretend to be the grandma and be nice to you and want you to have dinner with her. The final thing is the wolf just want to eat you. That can explain any occasions, no matter you say Xi or previous Jiang, even back to Mao, when they meet Americans, the same things, and they are developing.
Yeah, it's so funny. You take the Red Riding Hood fable and as a good example, as a good example, to get the point across of who the wolf is and in wolf's clothing there. But all right, it's interesting. Here's what I'm wondering. Think about this a moment, Dr. Yan, and I'm thinking about, I think about Barack Obama in his administration, and then I think about Donald Trump in his administration. Now, Barack Obama was 8 years. He got two terms in office, and Trump got one at that point. So, but here's what I remember. I remember when Barack Obama, the 44th president of the United States, when he went to China, I remember they insulted him. They didn't provide do you remember that, where they didn't provide the proper stairs and it wasn't in the front of the plane he could come out, he had to come out in the back. In other words, Xi completely insulted Obama. Do you remember that scene?
I don't quite remember the things, but when you say they try to insult, this is something actually still also in their ideology that Chinese Communist Party thought they are the best. So this kind of insulting or discrimination or this kind of humiliation actually come out from the details. As I just told you that they disguise to be friendly to you, but during the disguise, there are always kind of details that show the real purpose behind.
Right. Did they like Obama?
To be honest, compared to President Trump, Obama has a more positive kind of comment from the Chinese government media, but that doesn't mean they like President Obama. Actually, they don't like any president, as I told you before, because these are the American president. Even President Biden, they don't like. What they like is they try to make them happy and see whether they can get what they want from you. And once they realize that no matter President Obama, President Trump, President Biden, they find out they're still American president, right? They still hold the spirit of America, the freedom, the democracy. And so these people, they cannot fulfill Chinese Communist Party's demand. So Chinese Communist Party will turn into, start to attack them or insult them. And also in China, there will be other propaganda to let people feel that, maybe America is our enemy. Yeah. So this is their tricks.
Well, yeah, when you say propaganda, people have to remember that the press in China is completely controlled by the state. It's completely controlled by China itself, the CCP, correct? I mean, that's who controls the media there.
Yeah.
The press. Here in our country, we used to have a free press, but it's so corrupt now that they are kind of in partnership, it seems to be, with Washington, like lock and step. Well, not so much Washington, but the establishment, the Marxist left. There's a very strange relationship there for sure in our country. You know, and even though they're in denial, the other day, you might have heard this out there. The NBC host there, Chuck Todd, come out and say, "Oh, what do you mean? This is just in the Republicans' minds. They're not to the left." Everybody knows the media in America goes to the left, Democrats and the Marxist left. But he said, no, that's just in the Republicans' imagination. Oh, sure. That's kind of rubbish. Here's what I'm really wondering. The point I'm making about Obama and Trump, I'm getting to a point, Dr. Yan, and here it is. All right. So Obama he was not really a threat to the CCP. He was actually no threat. I know that they didn't like him. I know that they did insult him on that trip that he made there, that one particular trip. I remember it vividly. And I remember they didn't like, but they got their way. They could pretty well do whatever they wanted to do with Obama because he didn't question the trade deals. He didn't question, the deficits in those trade deals. He didn't discuss the one-sided arrangement we had with China. He didn't discuss any of the problems we're having, whether it's the climate change problems, whether it's the military, the stolen technology, our universities, which we will talk about today. So they knew they kind of could do whatever they want with Obama. When Trump came in, Trump rocked the boat. He totally and he talked about this for probably 20 years before he got into the presidency. He was a boat rock and he questioned China. He called them out. What I'm wondering is this. I have a sense or a feeling. It's just my feeling, gut feeling. I don't think China would have been making the moves they're making now, including COVID. I think unleashing COVID onto the world was, as you and I've talked about many times, was a very intentional act. This was a bioweapon, an unrestricted bioweapon that was released onto the world. And they knew what they were doing and they wanted to do it. But I'm really thinking Trump really, I think that 100-year period is what I'm driving at, from 1949 to 2049 with Mao and the revolution. And here we are. And it's like, okay, I think this kind of pushed everything forward. I think Trump, with him rocking the boat as heavy as he did, and, things were going really well in America before COVID. And I think that was a real threat to China. And that's why they made the decision, the calculated decision to do this unrestricted bioweapon. And they started to do other things as well there. Their influence in Hong Kong, but they got really aggressive with Hong Kong, and they canceled all their agreements with Great Britain. Remember, they were supposed to be 50 years. They were supposed to be, peace and not touch anything there. They lied about that, which they lie always about their agreements. You can't take them at their word ever. So I'm wondering, do you think at all? This is my gut feeling. I haven't heard anybody say this, but I have a gut feeling that I think Trump. I think he expedited the process, Dr. Yan. I think he pushed it all forward. I think that 100-year period, I think China started to get nervous. I think they felt like they were losing. They were having a lot of economic problems. They were having a lot of major trade problems and deficits. And I think they got nervous because of Trump and everything he had done, as opposed to the Obama regime, which was really not a threat at all. But yet they respect somebody like Trump in a weird sort of way, because they kind of respect an enemy that pushes back. But I think Trump really got into their psyche, into their brain, kind of their psyche. And I think that was a problem. Can you speak about that a moment? You agree with what I say there? You disagree with what I say there? What do you think?
I think your opinion is very brilliant, because President Trump actually was a big threat when he was a president for the Chinese Communist Party. And even now, they still don't like him, because President Trump is also very brave, straightforward, and quite brilliant. And he's the one realized what happened as a position. And then he's the one woke up American patriots to understand the evilness of Chinese Communist Party, and also broke their undermining American strategies from that time. So if you read those kind of reports in China, And you will know, of course, these are all the propaganda or the press are controlled strictly by the government. And those kind of reports are all negative to President Trump, unless when they try to play tricks before they see President Trump's response, they will give some positive things, try to make him happy, but still they would fail. So China basically was quite nervous about President Trump and his policies, and also especially when they see more and more Americans woke up, and that makes China more and more terrified because they know that they are using propaganda, using lies to cheat you, and if you still keep innocent, they can do the next step strategy. But if not, they know America is still stronger than China government. Absolutely. So that's why finally, when they feel that desperately, they try to conduct the things, they start to use unrestricted bioweapons. This is like in criminal psychology, if a woman try to kill a guy, a stronger guy, so most probably the woman won't just use knife or gun because she knows that physically it is not advantage, right? But she will think about to use the toxin, the poison things. So that is, just example to reflect in the criminal psychology to tell people that when one side is weaker, the other side is stronger. So when the weak side try to undermine and even kill the strong side, so the kind of unrestricted bioweapon like this COVID-19 virus is their priority choice.
Do you think America is its own enemy?
You mean Americans are their own?
Is America our own enemy? And what I mean by that is, in other words, we are self-inflicting with our policies and the way this fear campaign, you just talked about the fear campaign. And here in America, we are allowing this to happen. In other words, so we are kind of in a weird sort of way again, but very accurate way. We are our own enemy. It's not so much anyone else that's our enemy. We are doing it to ourselves. Does that make sense?
I think actually that is also some good part in your culture and in your democratic structure, because you have to always understand the weakness and then point out, and then you have the right to do that. Then you can improve. In China, Chinese people have no such right. We cannot question our government. We only can tell something positive. So according to them, if you're telling something not positive about government, you are the traitor. You are the helper for enemy power like America. So these are something, in America, you have this right, but how to use it properly, that is Americans need to think about that. And if there are something you feel already goes too far, and Americans not satisfied with that, and you feel it will undermine your freedom, undermine your democracy, undermine the real spirit of America, then you should try to crack it. But always good to have such kind of system to give people chance to talk about the weakness of your country.
You see, there's a price to pay for an open society like ours, of course. Whereas the CCP, China, is a closed society. It's a totally different thing. And there's a lot of things you can't do there. So if you are there and you are always complaining and calling out the government and become a problem, what happens to you?
So if I dare to, complain the government in mainland China first, I think according to their statistic data, at least 10 to 20 surveillance camera averagely per person for surveillance from government. So also at the same time, you have the social media app like TikTok, like the WeChat. These are in your phone already implanted the surveillance system too. Don't feel surprised. I mean, this is a fact. We charge people under 7 days, 24 hours that kind of strict surveillance from all the aspects you can imagine from the government. So the most realistic things would be if I feel, for example, recently there is a very huge flood ruined big province, one of the biggest province with the biggest population in China, Henan, and that flood has made many people dead, but government still just claim around 50. And then also they never tell people this is not because of the storm, but it's because of the government has already released the flood from the reservoirs and in the Yellow River without warning and without helping people to get away from their hometown. So this kind of man-made flood, if you dare to question the government, you will say, oh, I feel upset and I need the compensation. So immediately you will be disappeared because they quickly target you. You become the negative factor for the government. And this negative factor, according to their definition, that means you are the traitor and you are the still again maybe helping America to, try to discredit our great Chinese Communist Party. So you are not people, you are people's enemy. And for people's enemy, you'd better not exist.
Yeah. So in a society like this, like you say, the cameras and the censoring is everywhere. The phones, the social media, the TikToks, all of that is all monitored 24/7. You're always being monitored and governed in that way, correct?
Oh, yes. You know what? The worst thing is, after, you see, from 1949 to now, over 70 years, brainwash and childhood propaganda, all these things, China government actually already implanted the thinking to Chinese people that freedom is useless. And they would encourage you to think about money is more important. And position, reputation, reputation means you have senior position in the government or you become the kind of director or something. This kind of title is more important. And if you can get these things, then freedom is something you don't consider about. Why do you need freedom? You already have money. And you don't need to have the freedom of speech. If you praise the government and the party, you get more money. You get more titles. So in this system, people who really look for freedom or they really already feel freedom, for example, if they go to America or stay in other countries for a long while, they cannot go back. They are not used to that system. But in that system, they always can find the people who really adapted and also can hold the same value with the party. And then these people get promoted. And again, they give pressure to other people, keep brainwash them, keep telling people to give up freedom. So this is something that if you think about, you will kind of understand why such big scale surveillance system can stay in China, why there are so many people, like the party members, they are helping the party, the government, to maintain this whole situation. And of course, high technology method is always a good tool for them. And also Chinese military is basically used to do this kind of called stabilization.
Before we move on, I need to ask you, what is your sense of growing up in China on the mainland before you got to Hong Kong? How do most people in China perceive America? What is the general feeling? What is the general attitude that most Chinese people have of America?
Oh, that's something very interesting. So, based on my experience around me, my friend, because for example, they go to the good university and they even become PhD doctors, so they want to go to America. Most of them, they want to go to America because they know there is advanced technology. And they know even from the TV, from the movie, dramas, and American people are kind of happy. And which is very, in China, the happiness actually is something not easy to get, to be honest. And then also, they feel, when they grow up, they feel more and more tired in the Chinese Communist Party system because a lot of propaganda, pressure, and push you to change, and they would feel very exhausted. So if they have a chance to go to US, and most of people will say, oh, when I was there, when I visit US, it's very relaxed, and yeah, the life is more relaxed than we thought. We also do the right things. We can still do the study. We still can get good salary, and we feel easier there. So that's definitely, and also most of my friends, I think, especially when they have this kind of experience or their family has such experience in US or other democratic countries, they want to send their kids to the democratic countries. They want to have the kids, if they can have enough money, they have the good life there, get the education, and then finally even not come back to China. So that's their real thinking. But also interesting things is because they stay in that system, and because of from the childhood, the propaganda, the cultivation makes them more used to Chinese Communist Party culture than the real free democratic culture in America. And because they have no opportunity to really understand the difference and to change themselves. So they themselves are stuck into that culture. That makes them feel very struggling because they feel, many of them feel they only can go back to China because it's not easy for them to finally stay in America because of competition and the opportunities, because they are still foreigners, the language, culture difference. So they have to move back. And then they know in that Chinese Communist Party culture, if you sacrifice your freedom and you can get money, especially when you have good education and you're a doctor or something. So they choose to stay in China to make money, sacrifice themselves, but they want the kids to get better life in US or Europe or Australia, like this.
Yeah.
This is a very sad thing.
Yeah, it is indeed. And let me tell listeners now, if you're just tuning in, we are talking here today to Dr. Li-Meng Yang, who is here with me. And actually, as you heard up front of the program, I called her my co-host today. She's here for the program. Very intimate conversation today is what the style is what I wanted to accomplish today. Just conversational and really dive into some of these challenges and issues and have a chance to talk about them. Each time I've talked to Dr. Yan, both on mic and off mic, it's always very revealing. She's always very authentic, very honest, and it's always an engaging conversation. So you'll learn a lot today, without question. One of the things I want to talk about just ahead here is the universities. It's a very interesting op-ed on America Out Loud, and it's entitled "The Chinese Communist Party Influence in Our Universities Must Stop." It is from Dr. Jay Lehr and Tom Harris. It's a fascinating piece. You'll learn a lot with this one. In fact, it's getting a lot of people are reading this thing. It's got a lot of attention. They always do a spectacular job, Dr. Lehr and Tom Harris there. Fascinating. So I want to talk about a little more about that, what's happening in our universities, but also some of the conditions that create this environment that you probably are not aware of that make this so hostile here of what's happening in these universities and why it must stop, what's really going on there. So that's a very, very important part of this talk here. As we talk about this in that 100-year period of time, and as Dr. Young was just pointing out, it's been 70 plus years since that revolution, and now we are approaching, we're coming closer and closer, only 20 some odd years away from that number here, 27, 28 years away from 2049. A lot of the conditions and things that have happened, I think, has made China excel the operation, excel things, because I think Trump was the threat and things were slipping away. So that's an interesting point of reference to make here as well, that I do want to point out here. We're going to take a quick pause here, and we'll return and talk much, much more about China and their destination of world control, what they're really after here with Dr. Li-Meng Young. And we'll see you just on the other side. You're listening to the Voice of a Nation.
Listen to Malcolm, the Voice of a Nation, on iHeartRadio or our free apps on Apple, Android, or Alexa.
The America Out Loud family is comprised of patriots in the true sense of the word. We know that if America fails, the world will fail. It is incumbent upon us to carry the torch for liberty and the Constitution to help save America for future generations to come. AmericaOutloud.com. It's a fight for the soul of humanity.
Get real, let's get loud. On America Out Loud Talk Radio, this is McCullough Report. Are you tired of your tired vitamins? Consider Healthy Cell. These are pill-free vitamins that are in convenient gel packs. I like the Focus and Recall supplement. I use this a lot. You know, your brain uses a lot of energy, and it depends on a variety of micronutrients and vitamins. Boost your short-term focus and long-term brain power with Healthy Cell's Focus and Recall vitamins. So go to healthycell.com, use the code OUTLOUD, all capital letters, OUTLOUD, for a 20% off your first order of any Healthy Cell product. Let's get real, let's get loud on America Out Loud Talk Radio.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you find yourself always distracted or having trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cell's Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption technology, designed to feed our brains at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code OUTLOUD for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com. Code OUTLOUD for 20% off.
Well, my fellow Americans, how did you feel watching footage on the news of domestic terrorists looting our stores and burning our cities down? You were probably disgusted and angry as much as I was. It's disturbing what's going on. Well, you'd be shocked to know that your shopping habits are supporting these extremists. Companies like Amazon, Nike, Disney, FedEx, it's an endless list, and they've been supporting these radical groups. Let's stop supporting companies that fund these extremist groups. We can all do our part. Visit shoptotheright.com and you'll find businesses in a nationwide database and companies that are aligned with our American values. Visit shoptotheright.com and let's all make a difference.
Our global experts are brilliant writers and engaging hosts on a mission of a lifetime. You'll find the latest news and inspiration on the front page of AmericaOutloud.com.
join you back here on The Voice of a Nation. It is Malcolm Out Loud here, yours truly, and we are talking here about the CCP and world control. With me today on the program, as you know, Dr. Lee Meng Young is here for the program, and sometimes I find, it's nice to come into talks sometimes where it's just open-minded, where you don't have a big agenda. But there are some things you want to talk about and let things happen organically, naturally. And that's kind of what I wanted to do today. It's what I said to you before we went on today, Dr. Yan, is just let's have real conversation. You made a statement few weeks back here now I think it was on Viewpoint, actually, but you said this. You said, because of an ideology, the whole CCP regime is just like a machine which has no humanity. They don't care about life. They just want to control the world. Now, that statement got my attention. It got my attention. I'm sure it got a lot of Americans' attention. And actually, it's why I referenced today's talk because of your quote, is why I call today's talk CCP and World